Hello everyone, Magdalena here, Wolf of Coins. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I wanted to talk about the importance of reconnecting with Divine Feminine. And I know there are so many voices that talk about this in our YouTube community, but I thought I will just add my own voice, because why not? So I will be talking about this deck, the Goddess Oracle. This is a new deck that I bought by Amy Sofia Marashinsky and Hrana Yanto, illustrated by Hrana Yanto. So this won't be a full walkthrough of this deck. It's not a new deck. It's new for me, but it's been around for quite a while. I'm pretty sure you can find full walkthroughs of this deck, but of course if you want me to do a walkthrough and for me to share my impressions of every card, I can do that. Just let me know in the comments. So yeah, I just got this deck and I was debating whether I should buy it, because I do have a couple of goddess decks already, so I thought, should I be adding one more? And somehow, yeah, I decided I should. One of the reasons being that there are not one but two goddesses that are of Slavic origin in this deck. Usually when you get goddess from Slavic pantheon in a deck, it's one, and it's usually this one. So it's Baba Yaga, of course. She's the most famous one. And if you want to know more about her, you can check out my video in my Slavic pagan stuff playlist. There is a full video about Baba Yaga in Slavic myth. But there is also Vila. Well, I was actually a bit surprised to see her as like a separate goddess, because Vilas is a plural for, Vile. It's a plural from Vila. It's a type of nymph. So I always think about them in plural, more or less. But yeah, I talk about them a bit in my huge video about the Tree of the World. It's also on the playlist if you're interested. But the card, and also, by the way, both ladies here, they obviously have some Slavic ancestry. I know from the name here, and I read about her that her parents came from Slovenia, I think, or Slovakia. I might be mixing something up. But anyway, but the card that in the end sold me on the deck was this one. It's Lady of the Beasts. And she's not, well, she's described in the book as a more universal goddess, but this image alone reminded me of a specific figure, and maybe the author had that image in mind. I will try to put the picture in here, and it was the goddess from Çatalhöyük. It's nowadays it's Turkey, ancient Anatolia, and yeah, I've been fascinated by this archaeological site for many years now, and I would like to explain a bit just in a moment. Also, there's this guidebook, and you get a poem for each goddess, a bit about her in the mythology, the meaning of the card, and this oracle is more about getting in touch with the energy of a goddess. I will be showing you a bit more cards while I'm talking. So more about getting attuned to the energy of the goddess rather than get you won't get a meaning like this is going to happen or stuff like that. It's more about you getting to know the goddess that comes forward to you. I would call it like that. So what also was very interesting in this book, it was in the introduction by Amy Sophia. She wrote there that she was raised Jewish and she lacked this female role model because it's a monotheistic religion, so you get God the Father and that's kind of it. So and women are not portrayed in a good way. Like Eve it was all her fault that we're expelled from paradise. Yeah, there are Japanese goddesses too. What's really cool about this deck, it's very diverse. There are goddesses from all over the world. So we get Uzume for laughter. And yeah, I will confess, I don't know all the goddesses. I'm not very familiar with goddesses from the Americas and from Africa. I'm most, I know the most about European and Asian goddesses. But where was I? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so the author, the Erinis, they're awesome. I loved it. Wings here. So she had this problem, like, how can I be a great person if women are all responsible for the bad and what is divine is male, basically. And I really feel, it resonates with me because, well, I was the same. She also says that she decided, when she grows up, she will be the best man that there can be. So she thought that the good stuff would be to be, well, kind of masculine, to be better than, like, to prove something, right? And so I was, as most of you know, I was raised Catholic, Christian Catholic. And they're also okay. We get Mary there, who is, in my opinion, she's a goddess. It just, priests don't want to admit it, but she obviously is. However, yes, how I was brought up, it would always be underlined, it would be stressed that Mary is not divine. She only is, she's just a human who kind of has some superpowers, but, she doesn't compare to God the Father and Jesus and Holy Ghost. So I had also this feeling that, being a girl, when I was growing up, being a girl is not cool, and I need to not be a girly girl. I need to be, cooler, so interested in more masculine type things and act more like that. And of course it was hurting me inside because I knew I was a girl. So, and there's Amaterasu. It's a Japanese goddess. She's like a matron goddess of the imperial family. And when you see the flag of Japan with this red circle, the red sun with the race, it's her symbol. Isn't that beautiful? She's the sun goddess. So anyway, I had this difficult, I was, like that. I knew I was a woman. I wanted to think that women are great because I was one. But at the same time, all those like role models I got about the divine and others too, they didn't make me feel or think that women were cool. So it was hurting me. I didn't even probably realize how much. And at some point I stumbled upon this book, and I'm so sorry, this is only available in Polish, but I just wanted to talk about the importance and what this book gave me. So this is a book about my favorite author ever, favorite writer ever, Jadwiga Zielińska, and she was a person very passionate about history, and she was very fascinated by antiquity, but also like later times she wrote some novels about medieval times. But anyway, she loved mythology. And what she did with this book's title reads as Priestesses, Amazons, and Witches. And there is, the title goes on, is a story from the end of Neolithic and the Bronze Age, 6,500 till 1,150 BC. And this particular edition is from 1981, so before I was born, but it got published for the first time in 1972. And it's basically, these are like stories that are retelling, mostly retelling myths, and presenting them as they like could have happened with real people. Okay, so some characters from the mythology are people here, and what she also does is she includes sometimes, I wonder if I can find it, because she of course based a lot of her stories also on artifacts like archaeological finds and what she could like read in research. So she puts in this, brackets, there's a story going on, and then in brackets there is something like, yeah, we have this figurine that looks like this and that, and what she was. So it actually, yeah, it's the same here. It actually adds the depth, and you're like more emotionally connected to the story this way, because there is something connecting it to the real world. And it starts with the chapter in the beehive city, and the name of the city doesn't appear here. Later, in like years later, I discovered what she meant, and she made the Çatalhöyük site, and this is what I was talking about. So, and it is indeed like over 6,000 BC. So she just shows like, yeah, she pulls you into a story about people how people could have like acted back then, what they believed in, and it's amazing. So if you're a Polish, if you can read Polish, get this book, please. It's amazing, it's extremely underrated, and well, all of her books are awesome, but I've seen only this one reprinted really, like more. It's probably not available in print right now, but get an ebook or whatever you can. It's just so wonderful. It's, for me, it's just pure magic and poetry. So then we got with the Great Flood, but it's from the Mesopotamian point of view. So we don't get Noah. We get Utnapishtim, And yeah, Inanna the goddess Inanna is a person here. She's a priestess. So cool. Yeah, and then we go on with female founders of the cities in Greece, and we go to various places. We go to the a lot is about Mesopotamia, about the city of Mari, if you've heard about it. I read a lot about it. There is the story of Hatshepsut, who was the female pharaoh, and how her successors tried to erase her from history. And this is a story about a daughter who tried to be better than a son, to, you know, be accepted by her father. So it's a great one too. There is some poetry too. There's we go to Crete, and yeah, okay. So when I discovered this book, it belonged to my father. It just stood there on the bookshelf, and I suppose I was around 14 years old. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, that was the time when I got fascinated by ancient Crete because of this book. So we get the Pasiphae and how she fell in love with, of course, not a bull. Like there is a man that is called a bull, because, you know, it's made into more kind of realistic story. And then we go with her daughter Ariadne, and this is my favorite part. Theseus here is really a bastard, I gotta tell you. But then she finds love with Dionysus, so it's cool. And I have a bookmark here. The scene where they meet is just so magical. I love it so much. So yeah, there's Hercules and how he fought with the Amazons, Phaedra, the sister of Ariadne, and so on it goes. We go back to Egypt for a moment to read about the moment in Egyptian history when Pharaoh wanted to introduce a monotheistic religion to worship Aten. So we get Tutankhamun here and his sister. And we go also to the British Isles. We get Medea the witch. It's a pretty long one. So, you know, characters that we know from mythology that are, well, bad. Here you can see their reasons for acting, how they acted. So it's from more their point of view. Like we get Helen of Troy and her sister Clytemnestra, who killed her husband Agamemnon, and we learn why she did that. So yeah, and at the end there is this chapter that I understood just recently. It's amazing how I can read this book over and over many times and yet not understand everything. So there's a chapter about how the Amazons met with Scythes. Do you call them Scythes? No, Scythians. Anyway, an Indo-Iranian tribe. How they met and how they they mated, basically. They created a new tribe together. So there's actually a legend about, because Polish nobility has claimed that they come from the ancient Sarmathians, and it also was one of those Indo-Iranian tribes. And there was a period in time that scholars would say it's just a made-up thing to like make themselves look more ancient. But like modern DNA research confirms that there is some grain of truth in that. So there's a legend how Sarmatians came to be, and it was said that they came to be from the meeting of the Amazons and the Scythians. And that's it. That's here in this Polish book we get a story from that legend, and I think it's amazing. So yeah, I was 14 then. I got fascinated by mythologies when I was around, I don't know, 8, 9 years old. I started reading my first mythology books then. But this book changed everything. Because when you first start, you read like, usually you start with classical Greek myths, and they are classical, so from the period when women didn't have too much to say in Greece anymore. So the myths are also, they are changed. For example, goddess Hera, whom I really like right now, is presented awfully in the classical myths. She has all the bad characteristics of a jealous wife, and yeah. But then I discovered this whole new world, and what I think is important, it's both for men and women to connect to divine feminine. You need to see the wholeness of divinity, I think. And especially for women, it's important because we grow up not knowing that there used to be great goddesses. So this book just showed me the whole new perspective, and it urged me even more in my research. And I know it's in Polish, but I believe that there are books in English too that you can read, and they can inspire you, and they can heal you. Because I think what happened with me and this book, it started the long process of healing for me. And yeah, it's just so important to me, and I wanted to share it with you. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you want me to do the whole walkthrough of this deck, I can. There is Sekhmet. These are beautiful cards. However, I was not, like, this type of art is okay, this card is gorgeous, but most of them are not for me like breathtaking, and like they don't really push my button. But yeah, I'm telling you, I saw this card and I was sold on the deck. What's awesome about it, you have various ages too. Like Hestia is a grandma basically, and it's awesome because she's a matron. She's taking care of the household, so she's like a guardian of the holy fire. And there is beautiful Lakshmi. Oh, this card, she's a goddess who turns into an owl, and it's shown on the picture. It's awesome. Yeah, Isis nursing Horus, but there's also Osiris here. Can you see him? Oh my god, he's under her wing. Amazing. Sheila Nagig. An amazing card. If you're not familiar, but probably you are, it's yeah, it's an image really known from church walls and others in the British Isles. So yeah, I think it's a great deck. And it was a great opportunity for me to talk a bit about how I started finding myself. It's an ongoing process, of course, but this was the turning point. And I wish you find a book that will be so healing to you as this one was for me. And lastly, what I wanted to ask of you, if there was such a book in your life that showed you the whole new perspective, that changed something really deeply in you, and please share the title. I would be delighted to learn. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye.